wherever it is you are reaching us from around the world. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry. We'll be starting off with our newspaper headlines this morning just to see through all that we have, and right after that, in a jiffy, would be our main conversation for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom from Lagos State, Nigeria, Dr. Soyinka. He is a communicator and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Doctor, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Thank you so very much.
Nice to be back.
Thank you so very much, sir. It's a pleasure having you once more. And right here in our studios, we have Innocent Aduluba, journalist, public affairs analyst. Good morning to you.
My pleasure.
Innocent, thank you so very much. All right, let's start the show today with the first daily on our desk. It's coming from the Guardian newspaper. And we have litany of very interesting stories here, but let's go straight to our talking point, one after another, and I hope that the time permits us to do lots of talking here. I will evaluate Tinubu's government on my terms, Soyinka declares. Doctor, I'd love you to speak on this particular matter. You know, one thing with Professor Soyinka, he has always been a fearless man. Before now, you know, one that has campaigned against good governance, abuse of rule of law, freedom of speech from 1965 when he tackled Samuel Akintola, yes, and to Sani Abacha, to Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida when he went against him with Maman Vatsa and so on. Now, don't you think it's really discomforting that today with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Soyinka is numb on some of the matters that he would have addressed if it was someone else?
Yes, a lot of people have expressed that opinion, and they have a right to express that opinion, no doubt about that. But I will want every one of us to just take a look at something. Soyinka 10 years ago is not Soyinka of today. 10 years ago, he was 80. 20 years ago, he was 70. So, his acuity and conversation with present issues might not be as sharp as it used to be, especially when it comes to political affairs. And besides that, there's no doubt about it. He is a friend to the president. Yes. And there are some things that you will not want to perhaps say publicly about a friend. So maybe those are the issues that are coming into play, or part of it is age. What I just want people to understand is that, look, this man has spent almost 70 or 80 years of his life talking and fighting for Nigeria and so on and so forth. If the man decided now to keep quiet or not to say anything, what are people grudging him for? You remember that in 1984-85, shortly before Buhari was overthrown by Ibrahim Babangida, he was confronted and he was asked that he has been quiet for some time, not talking about the Buhari infractions and so on. And what did he say? He said he has nothing to say again because it's like talking to a wall. And that when you talk to a wall doesn't give you a reply or doesn't do whatever you want. So his reaction now might be, maybe he's also tired, or he felt that, look, other to continue or to take up from where he has reached. I'm also not very comfortable that he's not talking, but when I look at it, I also ask myself, I mean, at 90, going to 91, what else do you want him to see? He cannot be as active as he used to be some 10, 15 years ago. So I think we should just allow the old man to, he might jolly well have been frustrated and said that, look, what is it that I'm talking? This man will not change. So maybe I shouldn't talk again. It may be, it may not be. I'm not making excuses for him, but I just think that rather than we focusing on Soyinka not talking and so on, why should we also not take off from where he has left off? I mean, a 90-year-old man, if God is gracious to him, maybe he will live for another 10 years and he will be gone. Then the rest of us that are remaining, are we going to go and wake him up to come and talk? I mean, so I think rather than abuse him or take him off, we should just take it as it is that old age has begun to catch up on him and let him be.
Yes, as much as...
That's my honest opinion.
Yes, of course, we truly do respect that. But of course, in the minds of Nigerians, that might not be the same. The most important thing...
Yes, I know.
Yes, the most important thing is not starting a race, but ensure that you finish well. At this last part of its race, Nigerians would have expected that we would see a firebrand Wole Soyinka. J.P. Clark, just before he died, was still talking, even at the very last time of his life. And what's the other man with... sorry?
Chinua Achebe?
Yeah, Chinua Achebe, and the one that just died just a couple of weeks back. That was very good at.
Is it Obasanjo?
Yes, exactly. You know, he was
Obasanjo.
Yes, exactly. So, do you really think that age impedes on intellectual knowledge in any way? Does it really affect that? Or just like a doctor did say, has been a very good body of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but maybe that could be the restraining thing holding him back.
Well, I am Innocent Adulugba. My age is about half of Soyinka's age. I don't think I'm qualified to would I use the word appraise Professor Soyinka's life, you know. Professor Soyinka is a respected man, a global icon, a version, somewhat, of Nigeria's Nelson Mandela. He, from the literary side, where he is a Nobel laureate, is renowned for political activism, like Dr. have said, and also the better part of his life. And he has been involved in organized efforts that could lead to the desired political or social change. And to that extent, if we go through his scorecard, which I am not worthy to mark, he would have done well, better than many people. Notice that at the heat of the Nigerian Civil War, where movements were restricted, he took that famous trip to the forbidden place where it was raining bombs and bullets just to greet his friend, Chinua Achebe, across the divide, if that would have been called the Nigeria's iron curtain at that time, you know. And that's a very commendable one. But Soyinka, you must know, is a body of the political sage of our time, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the incumbent president. Soyinka was a broom-carrying man alongside Asiwaju in the crusade to oust the government of Dr. Ebele Goodluck Jonathan. The pictures are there, as they would say, internet never forget. So Soyinka was a civilian in the political trenches with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all the others at the time. Lots of them have lost their voices when the government of President Muhammadu Buhari began to bite during seething economic recession, much of which have graduated higher in this current administration. Femi Falana-San will tell you that the present government have chosen to take economic instructions from the IMF and World Bank rather than look inward at Nigeria's harsh economic realities. So Professor Soyinka, a non-Nigerian at this time, is, as Chief has told us in one word, on the diminishing. There is no human being that can be in the peak of their life in their 90s. And posterity, like I have just narrated, can see that in his active days, he was not docile, he was not dormant. And as the doctor has also said, must it be Soyinka only? Because from his days till now, he has peers, he has contemporaries. You know, look at this young man who I would like to see as president. Showore. Yes. If he is a Nigerian and he is a human being, and it is Nigerians and human beings that vie for that office, are we? Let Showore for now as I am talking, is Nigeria's most vocal voice, including just the last one that involved Ushie Rita Ogwamaye, for airing her view. Soyinka Showore jumped on the case. If you ask me, uninvited, that's what political activists do. But again, Showore, older than myself, but he's somebody in our time. He is doing his bit. How many people are doing it? Then soon, we will say Showore has gone quiet. Another man that I have seen through the years is Dr. Femi Falana, the SAN, the Senior Advocate of Nigeria. But you see, when the voices are too few, they can also get fatigued. You are speaking for people, and the masses are indifferent. We saw how our leader, Professor Isaiah, described the Messiah as a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief, with no look to attract us. That is Chief Ganifa Wahemi SAN, who went to jail over and over during the military, and then came and floated the National Conscience Party. I would think, and then I was an undergraduate in Unilag, that it was the turn of Nigerians to pay him by even voting someone who has been going to jail for people he doesn't know. What did he score? Didn't they say it was less than 5 votes? So I don't know if I'm wrong, Chief. So sometimes even the burden of activism. Where are these people? I used to read their book a lot. Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. You know, when you do this thing, and the powers that be has a way of penetrating and quenching the opposition fire. I don't know if I'm wrong, Chief. And then you hear, so person has gotten an appointment. As soon as they cross over, they go tongue-tied. So all right. Let's celebrate the sage. I hope maybe he would have a public speaking one of these days. How is it called in literature? A last dance, and then we should gather and celebrate him for what he has done.
All right, we shall leave it at that. Unfortunately, like Professor Lumumba would say, that the worst of us lead the best of us, and it's so unfortunate, and that is one of the reasons I would love to believe Nigeria is still where it is today. But let's take a look at other matters here. Those behind June 12th, a debacle, now regret, says, of all people, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. And doctor, do you think Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the INEC chair, has got that temerity to want to question those behind the June 12th, knowing that he is equally part of those that history would write that had made electioneering in this country what it is today? Some people will call it very laughable.
Well, I don't understand what the prof meant by saying those behind the June 12 debacle are now regretting it. Okay, maybe he's directing his word to Babangida and the rest of them who annul the election and so on. But I would rather than him talking about that one, which happened about some 32 years ago, he should focus on the present. What does he think Nigerians would write or say about him in another 5 years or whatever? When I understand that his tenure will expire maybe later this year or next year. What are Nigerians going to
you still there, Doctor?
Now is either married to such a child has become a father or a mother. Mahmoud should rather continue to work to rewrite himself into good history of Nigeria, electoral history, because I must say that without any fear of contradiction or whatever, the Independent National Electoral Commission has had more money, more budgets voted for it than any other electoral body in Nigeria, and it has also conducted maybe the worst kind of elections that Nigeria has ever conducted. You ask for beavers, you ask for electronic this, you ask for all that. Almost everything you ask for was given to you, but at the crucial hour, those things will not work. So there must be something wrong. I'm beginning to think that maybe in appointing a new electoral commissioner or INEC chairman, we should be looking towards appointing people who are technically fit. Maybe a professor of computer science or somebody who is practical with computer. And because this idea of appointing political scientists or historians and so on as INEC chairman, I'm not sure it's working, because when they get there, they look at other things. They don't look, some of the problems we are blaming INEC for may not be really caused by INEC. They may be non-human, they may be technical. But if you have somebody who knows the technicality, I mean, if you have somebody who has a knowledge of computer and the networking, this can be better. So you have other staff who are administrative or who are politically savvy, but you have somebody who is technical at the head of the INEC. Let us try that and see, because the way it is, choosing politicians or choosing academic whose area of expertise is in politics and so on doesn't help. It has not helped. I'm not sure it has helped. So we need to look at other things. So rather than Professor Mahmoud gloating that those who are responsible for June 12 annulment are regretting it, he should think about his own legacy. What legacy does he want to leave for those who are coming behind? How does he want the world to view him? Babangida has written a book. How many people believe in what he wrote? He has written his own side of the story, but everybody knows what went wrong. So Mahmoud should rather concentrate on what he needs to do to put right what we think are the problem we have with our electoral system.
It's very, very true. And coincidentally, Doctor, just like you said, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is a lecturer of guerrilla warfare and professor of political science and history, international studies at the Nigerian Defense Academy. Little wonder it's easy for him to, allow the beavers and IREF not to work, if you ask me. Innocent Adulugba, do you think that is another personality that's a major stakeholder to ensuring that Nigeria becomes what Nigeria should be? Just speaking just for speaking's sake, especially for Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
We should commend Professor Mahmoud Yakub. In the wake of that book, Doctor just told us how many people believed in it. Expected Nigerians, just as we just mentioned, Professor Soyinka, are mum over that. I don't know, Doctor. The book was very revealing. It's like one of the titles of Cyprian Ekwensi's literary write-up. The title of his book is revealers of secrets. So what the memoir by the former military strongman and head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, evokes a lot, with the general speaking to tell us on that day that the election was fair, and that if you doubt it, he has also published the result appendixed to that book at the back. So in law, these are evidence enough for arrest in law. And I know that there are many lawyers, SANs, and the judiciary who know this way, way more than myself at the pedestrian level. What was said. So if Professor Mahmoud is speaking, it calls on us to go by that popular cliche, take the message, leave the messenger. It is appropriate, it is accurate that Professor Mahmoud, if his tenure expires next year, already by come November, he will be Nigeria's longest serving INEC chairman at 10 years. Under his watch, the 2023 election produced the most politically diverse National Assembly, and several electoral upsets were recorded across states. And the bottom line was the election failed to meet public expectation. I think for my age now, that for what I have seen of Nigeria, Professor Mahmoud holds the record for supervising the worst election. That's a record, sorry, with him. And Professor Mahmoud, I don't know why the Guinness Book of Record are yet to list him, because he had a single gadget, what they call the beaver, that could recognize a House of Rep to be voted for, that could recognize senators to be voted for, that could recognize governors, House of Assembly candidatures for voting, but could not recognize presidential candidates. He didn't manufacture the beaver, but under his watch, the beaver could transmute, could morph, could metamorphose into that selective instrument. So Professor Mahmoud, if he's capable of that wonder, should be in the Guinness Book of Records, because from what we have seen, it is some of this litigation, these disputes that are leading to a hangover of political litigations, with almost about 25% of the present elected officials still having court cases, and their tenure is running.
Very true.
Their tenure is running. Yeah. And Professor Mahmoud is also on record to have called on the chief, on the judiciary, to address the spate of conflicting judgments on electoral cases in the country. So to a large extent, while we look at his comment and his message, INEC is being pampered by the judiciary, because the judiciary is equipped to check on INEC. The National Assembly is equipped, of course, they are the huge beneficiaries, to carry out the expected reforms. And then we wouldn't be pointing at Professor Mahmoud, we will be exercising the checks that can keep him in conformity.
Very, very true. That's why Nigerians have cried loudly for electoral reforms, because one would not believe that an INEC chair would not work for current government when the current government is the one responsible for employing him to office. So it's a contradiction, if you ask me. But just before we go, on the Daily Trust newspaper, our democracy is failing. Obasanjo, Kuka, Obi, and others have lamented. Doctor, I had discussed with you just before we got on set and asking, do you think we are not gravitating towards a fifth republic? That was the question I asked you, because if you take a look at all that's happening today, it's very synonymous to, like I did say, what had happened in the Fourth Republic, what has happened in the Second Republic. So don't you think what we are seeing today is very synonymous to what we had seen before that had led to republics, and possibly, I do not pray so, Fifth Republic might just be on the way?
Yes, for Father Kuka, and former Governor Obi to say what they are quoted to have said, I don't have any problem with that, because they know, I believe they know what they are saying. On the other hand, with all respect, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, for him to now come out and say that Nigeria's democracy is not what, and so on, it doesn't sell any stock with me. Because as far as I'm concerned, former President Olusegun Obasanjo is the cause of the problem our democracy is having in Nigeria today.
Please, can you explain? Can you explain more? At what point and what did he do that had exacerbated the problem?
That's what I'm coming to. You see, if in 1999, when Obasanjo came in as a president after a very long military rule, if he had subjected himself to all the rules of democracy, and if he had done everything possible to bring that democracy into real practice, we will not be where we are today. Every action President Obasanjo took at that time, he was taking those actions as if he was still, some of those actions, as if he was still a military leader. Some things he would do before he remembers that, no, then he would go to the assembly. And unfortunately, also, we have a very pliable assembly just as we have presently. The only opposition that they had was in the House of Representatives under Gali Nahaba. In the Senate, you remember that we have more than 5 Senate presidents, if I'm not mistaken, in the 8 years. So something like a Senate president for every 1.5 years or so. So if Obasanjo had galvanized all what is needed to make our democracy stand, it will not be what it is today. So for him to come out and be posing as a saint and be saying our democracy is not serving people, or democracy in Africa is not serving people, I think the old man should just go and sit down and enjoy his retirement. Because as far as I am concerned, Olusegun Aremu Obasanjo is the problem, is the foundation. As Babangida was responsible for the level of drought and corruption in Nigeria today, Olusegun Aremu Obasanjo is responsible for our stunted democracy today. Before he became president, before he was arrested and all that, he has always been having dialogue in his other farm, democracy, this and that. But it came to the practical side. He never for anything helped to build our democratic Senate. So for Obasanjo to come out and be saying that our democracy is not serving Nigerians, when he was there, did he make the democracy to serve Nigerians? He was only freshening his own nest. So why should he now? As far as I'm concerned, Obasanjo, Tinubu, they are just like half dozen and 6. They are almost the same thing. I don't see any difference in them.
Really?
So he should just sit down and go and enjoy his retirement, his presidential largesse, and the retirement as a general, and then leave us alone and let us sort ourselves out. He should just, I don't say stop with Olusegun Obasanjo stuff. Wow. It's just a soft grape attitude kind of thing. That he should just go and sit down, please.
Innocent.
I don't want to. I don't want to say more than that. Because if I'm going to say more, I mean.
Very well said, Doctor. Innocent Aduduba, do you buy the submission of Doctor? You know, knowing everything Olusegun Obasanjo has done, he led the forgiveness of our debt, which of course had multiplied yet again with this current government. Lots of other things I would love to say, but do you buy with knowing that this was like the starting up of a new democracy?
When you look at Doctor and his gray beard, you will know he knows more than we know. He has also experienced more than we do, but to the extent of my personal knowledge, first of all, let's take the message and leave the messenger.
Yes.
2, I think I was an adult. I voted before President Olusegun was elected in '99. I had attained suffrage at the time. I can say that I would score the Obasanjo administration higher than the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
What indices do you have?
Even though it is just taking off.
Yeah.
Number 1 is economy. Number 2 is national unity.
Okay. The cohesion.
Yes. Number 3 is internal security. You know. And number 4 is on the credibility of political appointments. There can be more.
How about our judiciary and our
debt
legislature?
Forgiveness.
Yes.
So, no, there are others.
Yes.
But as regards military, you know, there are many reasons the military intervene in government. And sometimes Nigerians don't know the difference between a military government and a civilian administration. As long as the people in government are not wearing khaki, we take it that we are in a democracy, even if visible democratic elements are absent. You know, the military would strike when they feel that the government is mismanaging the economy, as in reasons they give, you know, or there are much of electoral malpractices and rigging, tribalism and nepotism, hegemony, external interference, foreign complicity, a lot of reasons, authoritarianism, like I said, the rise of rebel groups, internal disintegration, regional and political differences, as can be the case, corrupt leadership, unhealthy rivalries among political parties. All of these ingredients are manifest now.
Very well said.
Which, if you ask me, for the reasons given from all textbooks for military intervention, this is the time is right. The time is right. But you see, I'm wondering where a doctor could give a submission. ECOWAS are wooing Niger and Burkina Faso and Mali. You know, what we claim, what we fight for is freedom. Now, if there is freedom on empty stomach and poor economy, look, I, as a Nigerian, for the benefits the ordinary Libyan was getting, doctor, I prefer the Libyan type of government to the one we are having now. Maybe you can comment on that. So it's not as soon as we have been brainwashed to have Olympic government, where every 4 years somebody is presented, and like you said, Professor Lumumba has told us the worst lead the best. In Nigeria, sir, in electoral democracy, all presidents are almost half as educated as their vice presidents. I stand to be corrected.
Very true. No, you have,
you can compare
that's factual.
Alex Ekweme to his chief, or compare, well, no, maybe not the same case with Atiku Abubakar anyway, but you can compare Professor Osinbajo to his excellent principal, who is hardly aware of many things in the country, and possibly where we are now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a lengthy whatever. If the country is how it is like this, everybody knows that this is not the country we wished for. We had complained during the tenure of former President Muhammadu Buhari. This is a new government. Are we faring better or worse? So this government have set the stage for a military intervention. Alas, we are in a season where the military is highly politicized with compensatory appointments, happy to dine with their political counterparts. So I think it has blurred the sharp edges of militarism, unless, as they will tell us, the element of surprise is a formidable advantage in combat. We don't know.
Well, the elements of surprise is often and always there. Remember, nature abhors vacuum. Nature always would have a way of reclaiming itself. So when there is deficit in leadership, nature would find a way of filling up that space. Though we do not pray for a fifth republic, democracy is what we need. But if our leaders keep doing what they do, who knows? We do not pray for it, most definitely.
If there is a fifth republic,
yes.
You know what?
And it's going to look like the Gaddafi.
You know what?
A lot of Nigerians are praying for that.
Yes, doctor. Dr. William.
You know what? I just as he has said, I've worked or I've lived under a military regime, and I'm living under a democratic dispensation now. For all its faults and whatever, I believe very strongly that I don't pray for any military to come back. Let me give you an example.
Please do.
In 1983, when the late President Tagari was re-elected, there were outcry that the election was rigged, this and that. But I believe very strongly that if Shagari had been allowed to finish his second term and we had another election, Nigeria will correct itself. For now, since 1999 when we came in, PDP came in and said it was going to rule Nigeria for 60 years. 60 was cut down to 16. APC came in. APC is in its 10th year. Who knows, between now and 2027, what will happen? But I believe that even if, whatever it is, we should allow them to continue to make that mistake, one day to correct itself.
Wow.
How did Buhari defeat a sitting president? One day, it might happen. You cannot say that if you have a child, if you are a father or a mother, and you have a child, and the child is trying to walk, and he or she is falling, are you going to say because he keeps falling and injuring himself or herself, you are going to tie such a child to the chair until he's able to walk very well? No. When you stand, you fall, you stand up again. We make mistakes, we'll correct it. 2015, Buhari came in. 2019, he won a re-election. 2023, Tinubu came in. 2027, if either by hook or crook, he wins again or whatever, when after his tenure, something else might come in. So, if we look, military regime in Africa or well in Nigeria has never solved any problem. That is why people like us are not in support of saying that, okay, maybe, no. The military in Africa, in Nigeria especially, they don't have that messianic syndrome. Every one of them comes in. They've seen the politicians making so much money. They want to come in also and make so much money. And then the freedom you enjoy will not be there. So I think that for what and all, let the politicians continue to make that mistake. One day, we'll correct it. Not even the American democracy that is over 200 years old is perfect. So I think we should just be ready by ourselves. Let us galvanize our people. You cannot rig an election where you are not popular. The reason why our elections go the way they go is that you and I, on that election day, will sit down in our homes, we'll be watching TV or be watching Hollywood or be drinking coffee or drinking beer. And then those we regard with so much disdain have been given 5,000 naira, who don't know anything, they will go and vote. So we must galvanize ourselves as the elite. Don't leave politics to politicians alone. We must all galvanize ourselves to make sure that, look, you said the worst are always governing the best.
All right, so that's just about the time we have for today. I wish that we would continue on this very interesting discussion, but we just have to leave it slide for now. Thank you so very much, Dr. Soyinka Oyegbile, for being here. We truly do appreciate you, sir. Innocent Adoluwa.
Thank you.
Thank you, so always.
Yeah.
So just to let you know that we'll be here on our main conversation in a bit. That's when we return. Unclaimed estates are slipping away from African families in the UK. That in a bit. Please don't go anywhere.